Thank you everybody for joining in today's session. You really appreciate that. We represent Bulwark Distribution and we are the distributor for HelpSystem. Today's agenda would be introduction to Bulwark and HelpSystems. We'd be introducing to BoldonJames. It's a HelpSystems company, and an overview on the suite of products. We'll be also focusing on addressing the challenges of protecting your sensitive data. We'll be having live demos, and at the end, we'll be having question and answer session. About Bulwark. Bulwark is a value-added distributor and a recognized leader in IT security in Middle East for the past 20 years, with a focus on channel growth and development for fast-moving and corporate security products. Established in 1999 in Dubai, UAE, and local offices in Saudi Arabia and India, with a vision to bring in the best in technology and pure value-added services to customer to the Middle East and North African region. Our product portfolio and solutions are focused on information security. We partner with 500 plus enterprise partners and system integrators across Middle East and Africa region. Our expert pre and post-sale team delivers the right solutions to end customers across sectors, including banking, finance, government, oil and gas, manufacturing, medical, and education verticals. About HelpSystem. It is an American information technology and software company based in Eden, Minnesota. It is a leader in cybersecurity software, providing organizations with comprehensive automated solutions. The HelpSystems cybersecurity suite helps you secure business-critical data, maintain compliance, and stay ahead of today's ever-changing threats and hybrid IT reliance. Our solutions covers on three major areas: data security, information security, identity and access management. Today, we will be focusing mainly on data classification, which comes under data security. So why do we need a data security solution? That's because cybercrime costs the world much more than $1 trillion annually, a 50% increase from 2018. Even as cyber investment rises, the painful reality is that data breaches rise too. Data visibility is the biggest cybersecurity weakness. Organizations nowadays still take a perimeter-only approach to their data security and are increasingly vulnerable to security breaches because that perimeter, as we know, it no longer exists. Today, organizations need to share data in a variety of ways with a variety of people to efficiently collaborate and to do business. Data visibility is the biggest cybersecurity weakness. So the organization, have a complete visibility on the data. Is the data classified? Do you know where the data and the confidential data resides? How is the data shared? Who has access to confidential data? How you can govern your data effectively if there is no visibility on the above question. HelpSystem provide an integrated and automated data security suite which focus on user experience. You have to understand, govern, share, and protect. Understanding data sensitivity is a key. When created, data criticalness must be set, whether manually or automatically. Data already existing must be classified, preferably automatically. Regarding the governing of the data, you should always aim at controlling and keeping data secure. Access and right management can depend on data classification through metadata, location, context, and content, which contains the contents, inspection, data structure. Encryption is also a key for the integrity and confidentiality. How do you share and protect? Data can be shared in many ways: emails, automated file transfers, cloud-based solutions, USB drives, instant messaging, all data transferred must be authorized. Data must be secured during all its life cycle, from creation to sharing. And user experience is the key in terms of business impact and productivity. HelpSystem provides tools to help improve organizational data security and compliance posture. Our data security solutions allow you to understand your sensitivity data and keep it secure throughout its life cycle, no matter where it resides, it's on-premise or in cloud, or how is it shared. Data security solutions provides visibility and security at the same time. So how do we do that? The solution that power our suite includes data classification. The foundation of solid data security strategy begins with the data classification. You should identify and prioritize the data that you need to protect, including critical unstructured data such as intellectual property. Our classification solution offers essential management and control of your data to ensure compliance. And our experts work with you to select the best solution to fit your needs. Second is the email security. Email HelpSystem offers email security solutions that can stop compromising tactics and account takeover attacks in tracks. Our automated DMARC email authentication solution can add protection to customers and trading partners, particularly from email spoofs masquerading and potentially ruining your organization reputation. We also have the automated data loss prevention, that is the DLP solution, which minimizes the risk of data breach by automatically removing sensitive data from the emails and documents as they set or transfer to from the cloud. Now, we would be focusing on data classification, BoldonJames. Our technical consultant, Mr. Qasim, will be taking over the product components of BoldonJames, and we'll be discussing on the live demos and product components.
Thank you so much, Karthik. Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Muhammad Qasim. I'm a technical consultant at Bulwark. I have more than 6-7 years of experience in data classification, and I have done a couple of projects successfully regarding the data classification. So we're going to describe about the BoldonJames, like what is BoldonJames. So right now, as we discussed that HelpSystem has acquired BoldonJames in June 2020. But as per the BoldonJames, we have more than 35 years of experience in data security software. So right now they are the market leader, a best of breed mentality and broadest data classification coverage of any vendor. And also like we have 35 plus best of breed technology partners in case of if you're talking about DLP solution, email filtering solution, CASB products, and even the archiving solutions can able to integrate with BoldonJames. So this company has been owned by the HelpSystem now in June 2020, and we have a core focus on customer and technical support. So why we choose BoldonJames? So BoldonJames is a best of breed technology, and they have very extensive experience of classifying all the documents, files, and it's files and documents over the SharePoint. So we do classification, and we can integrate with any kind of your downstream technology. When you talk about DLP solution, email filtering solution, we can integrate with them. We can protect business critical data, improve data controls, and reduce risk. We deliver improved and streamlined business processes, and we are a safe pair of hands that constantly deliver success. So these are some of the global organizations that trust us. When you talk about different verticals like finance, pharmaceutical company, manufacturing, defense, so these are some of the customers only that have more than 10,000, 20,000 plus users, even though we have a lot of other customers available in all over the region. So before jumping directly into the BoldonJames side, first we need to understand what is classification, why do we need it, and what is the purpose of doing it. So when we talk about classification, so always it will start with the policy itself. So policy define what are the labels you have, whether we talk about non-business, general business, internal only, and confidential. So these are called basically the visual markings in the visual label. So once we do the labeling as well, we also add the visual indicators in the form of metadata. So once the metadata has been written into the documents or emails, you may have different downstream technologies like data discovery tools, SIEM, DLP, archiving solutions. So all those solutions can able to read the metadata and they can take further action. Let's talk about only the DLP part. Let's say if some document which is already confidential and you're trying to upload into OneDrive or SharePoint Drive, we can detect those confidential labels, we can block it right away. And when you talk about integration with email filtering solution, these are basically your parameter level devices. So emails normally how the users encrypt it. They normally click on the encrypt button to do it. But when you do the full integration with the BoldonJames, we can put the labels onto that, and these labels can understand your parameter devices. Even now, the archiving solution, even though they can able to do some kind of retention based policy, let's say because users are like these days copying and pasting a lot of information. They don't care about what is the data residing in your storage devices, NAS storages. So what you can do, archiving can read the metadata and it can remediate the actions, like it can remove the redundant data inside your storages. So technology ecosystem driven by classifier. So you can in the center you can able to see that there is a classifier part. So classifier can integrate with different kind of verticals of security solution. When you talk about data loss prevention solution, we have Digital Guardian, ClearShift, McAfee, Semantic, Postpoint. We can integrate with those solutions. So as per just your knowledge, Digital Guardian, we have acquired it recently and it has a full integration with our data classification solution. So data governance, when you talk about, we have integration with active navigation, PKWare, cell-based, doc authority, and data protection like Secure, Microsoft. When you talk about data protection integration, what do we mean by that? So let's say that in Secure is basically a right management solution. So once you put a rights on the documents and email, let's say you put a read write permission, automatically your documents emails will be classified as per the rights embedded into the documents and emails. So when you talk about integration with the data sharing like Box, Office 365, let's say user is uploading in sensitive information to those cloud sharing devices. We can detect the metadata, we can take remedial action, like we ask for the justification or we do just stop auditing. So data mobility solution, AirWatch, Mobile Iron, we can integrate so that our mobile classifier tool can be deployed from your Intune devices or these kind of data mobility solution. Also, we can integrate with data monitoring solutions. Let's say Splunk, you have logarithm. So we can integrate and we send all the logs and events data to your SIEM solution. So you may have a lot of granularity and you can do the correlation of your log. So productivity, when you talk about Microsoft, we can integrate Autodesk and data retention solutions like Veritas, Documentum, we can connect with that one. So it will help you to reduce your data management cost. Why data classification? So there are 4 total stages of data protection lifecycle. It will start with the discovery process, classification, protect, and monitor. So where BoldonJames fit into this process? We fit in the second stage of process, which is the classification stage. So once the data has been classified, discovered properly and identified, we put the classification categories tagging onto the documents and emails. So once it will be done properly, then in the third stage, you have protection policies like email filtering solution, CASB, DLP solution. They can take actions, whatever the documents we have classified in the second stage. And then in the fourth stage, we have monitoring stage. So in the monitoring stage, we can configure, we can see what are the users doing with the classification, what are the users who are doing the downgrade of user labels, and where the classification documents and emails going to which destination. So we have a reporting console over there. This is an add-on module which you can embed with your foundation suite. It will give you complete visibility over your documents and emails. So compliance is the very biggest challenges these days companies are facing. So now when you talk about GDPR, CUI, NIST, HIPAA, and also in the UAE, we have a resolution number 21 of 2013. So which states that you have to implement the data classification solution in order to avoid any kind of data breaches or fines, or maybe in the very critical stage, you will get imprisonment if you are not properly classifying the data, because this auditing and compliance thing are always behind these companies. You talk about finance companies, government organizations. So they always look for any kind of loopholes so that they can give you fines over them. So what are the business value of data classification? So which will help you to demonstrate your compliance. So you will, once your data has been properly classified, you can just talk with any regulatory or compliance team and show it to them the reports that how we are classifying the information, what are the departments who have the confidential information like PII information, PHI, for any kind of sensitive information. We create a security culture over there. Yeah, obviously, when you are classifying the information properly, like confidential, internal, top secret, obviously there is a security culture. Users are now much more aware of how to handle this kind of information. It will facilitate safer collaboration, so you can easily able to share this information to different cloud storages like SharePoint, Box, or any kind of, because the metadata is embedded into the documents and emails. Increase business value. Obviously, the data is already classified. It will help you to detect what kind of sensitive information flowing into your network, shared drive, mass storages. It reduces your data management cost because all the data is properly classified. You can run the archiving solution. So archiving solution can remove any kind of redundant data that is basically increasing your storage cost. So we also drive technology ecosystem, which means that any kind of downstream technology, DLP, CASE solution, it can able to read the labels and tagging, and they can do their action as per their policy. So this is taking classification like beyond security. We start always with the policy itself. So policy will define like how to classify the information. There are security labels as well as data handling labels. So security labels are very generic, so it will remain same for most of the companies. But also not only we are doing security labels, but also we are adding the data handling labels like retention code, PII, finance, legal instructions. So you will also having the full visibility of data, what is residing. Also, not just to information, also the metadata, which is a machine readable text added into the document. So we do support both user driven and automated way. User driven in a sense, like users are like now the biggest assets of any organization. They know how to handle the information, what kind of data they are dealing with. So once the data has been added, like finance detail, they can able to classify the information by themselves. Or what we have an automated engine, which is like very machine learning agent, like policies over there. So what they can do, they can detect the content inside your documents and files, and we can automatically classify this information. Let's say there is a credit card information inside the document. We put that this information only belongs to the finance team or internally. So that's all kind of automation we support. And when you do all this kind of security measuring over your documents and emails, in the stage of getting the business value, we got the enforced granular policy controls, user awareness will be increased, operational effectiveness, optimized security technology, as we discussed earlier, and also it will reduce your business risk. As we discussed, like policy, it will always start with the policy. So policy define like what are the labels, non-business, confidential, internal, you want to define. So once these labels has been defined, we can also put from the BoldonJames side that visual marking. So visual marking is something that is visible to end users, like header, footers, watermark. Alongside, we add the metadata. So metadata is something which is only readable by your downstream technologies. We also add like handling rules. So handling rules, as I discussed, any kind of PII information, PHI information. So those all information can also be added into the documents and emails. So this is very important slide, which will give you a complete suite overview of what are the different data channels we support. So when you talk about data in use, data at rest, and data in transit, we have several other modules which cover your all 365 use cases. Like in data in use, we have Office Classifier. Office Classifier is basically used to integrate with your Office products like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Then you have Mac classifier. So maybe you have some Mac operating system in your organization. We do the same thing like the Office classifier, but in different operating system, which is a Mac classifier. We can integrate with your AutoCAD drawing products. Maybe you are dealing with some kind of construction drawings or some other kind of like architectural diagrams. We can integrate directly with AutoCAD and DraftSize solution as an add-on module. Then in the data at rest, so maybe you have some kind of legacy data already residing in your NAS storages, or maybe there's some kind of cloud storages. We have Power Classifier for files, which can classify bulk amount of data. We have also like File Classifier. This is the part of the foundation suite. So by having the File Classifier in place, user can just right click on the files and they can classify the document. Then we can also integrate with the collaboration tools, which are like the SharePoint Classifier, Box Classifier. So these are all those both solutions are the cloud-based platform. We integrate with both SharePoint on-prem as well as online platform. So which means that any data residing in your SharePoint, you can able to directly classify the information over there. And then in data in transit, we have several tools. The data in transit basically means it is going from network to network. So we can also providing several tools like email classifier. Email classifier has an like add-in which can integrate with your Outlook product. So like it can able to differentiate between what are your internal domains, what are your external domains, and it can classify based on the external domains. As well as we have OWA classifier. So if you have enabled OWA product in your environment, we can integrate. So like maybe users are going to the home and they are opening some kind of browser and they are trying to access the OWA, we can integrate and we can directly classify the emails over there. Notes classifier, this is something which IBM supports. We can also integrate in the notes application. Mobile classifier, so maybe there are some users who are classifying information on mobile devices like Android, iPhone. We can also provide this facility over there. Mobile filter is very useful tool which has a light DLP capability. Let's say that you wanted to block any kind of sensitive email to synchronize with the mobile devices. So what we do, we install one agent on your Microsoft Exchange server, which will sit just in front of my ActiveSync product. So you can say that if this sensitive information is getting sync with your mobile devices, we can block it right away. We can also do differentiation between what are internal and external domains. So those are all kind of facilities over there. Then we have Exchange Classifier. Exchange Classifier is something we can integrate with on-prem Exchange server. Right now they don't have facility for Office 365. So Exchange Classifier we'll discuss in the next product demo. Management and monitoring. So we have Classifier Administration and Classifier Reporting tool as well. So when you talk about Classifier Administration, so this is a tool, very useful tool, which will help you to create your labeling configuration and policies. We can push any kind of policies from the central console to your add-on modules. So in that case, you don't need to manage several consoles to configure the policies. There is only always be a one central console which will help you. Also, like we have some policy templates. So we do support different kind of ITAR based policy templates. So that will define your policies and configuration. Then we have Office Classifier. So Office Classifier is like an add-in which can integrate with different kind of Office products. It can do header, footer, and watermarks inside the documents. It also assists you do the assisted labeling and content checking. It can also detect any kind of PCI information inside your Word document. Email Classifier is a very useful tool which can integrate with your Outlook product. So like what we can do through this tool, we can classify emails in transit and it can differentiate between what are your internal domains, what are your external domains, and it can also do the automatically encryption inside your emails. Let's say that if you have public and private key, if you add into Outlook, So it can encrypt based on the certificate you have already imported it. So that way, what are the benefits you will get? No more accidental data loss because you are defining what sensitive information should reside inside or outside. You can distribute your data and all the labels will persistent. Even though if it is going to the third party, that metadata will still be intact inside the email. Then we have OWA classifier as we discussed. So this OWA classifier can like integrate directly with your OWA product. So users can able to directly classify over the portal itself. It can also check the same policies like what are your internal domains, what are your external domains. We can integrate with Exchange 2013 or 16 or Office 365 online. The Exchange classifier is a very useful tool. Sometimes what will happen basically when you are sending some email, sorry, from internal to outside. So what will happen? The classification label will be removed from the email that side when the recipient party is replying those emails. So what we can do, we can put a message tracking service on your Exchange server. So once the message is coming back from the third party recipient, we can take the classification label from the earlier thread and we can restore the label. So that will help you to automatically classify the information which is coming from the partner organization or some third party organization. SharePoint Classifier is also a very useful tool which can integrate with your SharePoint online like Office 365, hosted or on-prem. So you can able to directly classify information on the portal itself. Also, it will help you to propagate of classification label. Let's say you classify information on desktop version and you upload into the SharePoint, all the classification label will remain the same. And even we do support the quarantine sensitive files. Let's say if you are uploading some information, sensitive information to the SharePoint, and this information is not properly classified, we put into the different document library. So you can go after that to the document library, or you can classify manually. Even the notification can be put into the administrator at this kind of documents which are very sensitive, like PII information, finance information, is going to the cloud storages and it is not properly classified. Mac classifier. So if you have any kind of Mac operating system, we can integrate with all kind of Office products, email classification solution. We can also add like visual and metadata labels, and it is very flexible. We do support single click and multi-select option. So user can just select. So we do have one more feature which is called assisted labeling. I will show you during the demo part. CAD classifier is something very important. Like if you have like drawing with your construction drawings and all, we can integrate with AutoCAD and DraftSite. All the visual and metadata labels will remain the same as per the classification you defined. Box classifier, it is same like the SharePoint one. We can integrate with this one. So also like this is an add-on module coming alongside with the foundation suite. Like if you are using the box product to share some information inside the organization, we can provide this box classifier to you. Then we have mobile classifier. So we can integrate with different kind of iOS, Android and Windows phone. So you can classify information directly from the mobile devices. So let's say because there are some users who are working remotely and they are making some sensitive documents over the mobile devices. So we have another add-on module which can integrate. Enforcing policy and preventing data loss. So this is something we enforce. You can able to see that this information like is sending sensitive information to an approved recipient and which is not allowed to share this kind of information. So what we do, we block this action. So you can see the continue option is grayed out. This information will not be allowed to share it from the external recipient. Classifier reporting is another add-on module which will help you to detect any kind of user behaviors, user analytics, like what are the users who are classifying the information and how they are using the sensitive information. What are the users who are downgrading the classification when they receive. We do support the SIEM and UEBA tools and third-party SIEM solutions. So like if You can send those logs or events to your downstream technology, and you can do some kind of correlation of the events through this tool. But also we are also having like dashboard and reporting capability built inside the reporting classifier. So now I will jump directly into the demonstration, like how the documents will be properly classified and how the labels will be visible. So let's say that I will create one document by the name of test. Now you can able to see that there is no header footer applied over the document, and this item has no classification. And also you can see in the top menu in the ribbon bar, there are some public, business, technical, confidential, and internal labels over there. So we just not adding the labels, there are also description. So what are the public documents? So this way your users will get much more awareness how to handle this kind of information. Business is some other description. So you can put as per your customization. So let's say I will classify this information as confidential. So once you classify the information as confidential, not only we are adding headers, footers, that is very obvious. Sorry. We are also adding the watermark, which is confidential. This is part of the image. So once I done the confidential, you can see that there is another assisted labeling appear, like marketing, finance, IT, purchase. So these are the departments we are asking. So in the first page, we are asking what is the classification label and what department it belongs to. So this is all like assisted labeling capabilities over there. So once we done this kind of classification, this is kind of visual marking over there. And also this is a summary marking. You can see that classified confidential has been added into the bottom panel. So we also adding like the machine learning capabilities. You can able to see that tags has been added, which is classified confidential. And when you go to the properties of this one, you can able to see that some kind of BoldonJames tagging has been done. So these tagging is like intelligence put it inside your document. So in case if you have downstream technologies, DLP, they have this kind of capability to read this metadata and take further actions. Let's say block this transaction or automatically encrypt if it is going to the email filtering solution and all. So also like we do support, let's say we have some document over there and I will put some text. We also support the portion mark. So portion mark is something very useful. Let's say in the full document, you have different kind of information because in one document, not all information can be the same label, like internal confidential. So what you can say that this paragraph is very critical. So what I wanted to put as internal. Okay, and now you can able to see just prefixes like I has been added into this paragraph. So let's say that I wanted to tag this paragraph as confidential and I press OK. You can see C has been added into that paragraph. So that way you can tell that this paragraph is very confidential. The users has to tackle this, or we need to properly handle this kind of information accordingly. Not only this, we also support user guidance. So user guidance is something very special. Let's say some new employees join to your company and they are not much more aware of like how to handle this kind of information. So what they can do, they have to answer few questions. Which departments own this data? Let's say I select human resources. Does it contain any personal data? Yes. So based on those selections, automatically classification labels has been added, like classified, confidential, HR, and the PII present. Once I press OK, you can able to see the information has been changed. Classified, confidential, HR. This is header applied, and this is the footer applied. Even this information has also been added into your tagging capabilities. This is very useful. This can help and give intelligence to your downstream technology. And we have also some kind of options. So if you wanted to do clearance, you can just click clear. All the labels will be clear. Also, if you wanted to see like about classifier, sometimes users are not much more aware of what kind of data they are dealing with. So they can able to see that they are using BoldonJames technology and what is the version, how the count and all. So this is one very important feature. Let's say that I'm trying to save information without any classification because I just removed the classification label. And now what I'm getting is invalid label. So which is asking me to classify this information if you wanted to save this one. So if I wanted to resolve this tool, I need to select a mandatory. So you can see that there is a red checkbox which is saying that this information has to be classified as mandatory one. So I need to select confidential and press OK. So once I do that, policy resolution has completed, and now I can able to do the continue. So this information has been, so now this information has been classified as confidential. Now, if what I will do, I will try to downgrade this information. Like I'm putting it as public for some kind of malicious purposes, because in my DLP, confidential information is all blocked. So now what will happen, it is asking me justification mode. Please explain why the label was downgraded and restored. Now I will, because right now what I put in the justification mode, I can able to choose no or yes based on my capability. When I press continue, it will ask you why you are downgrading this information. So I will say that maybe I'm in the wrong group, or all the sensitive data has been removed, or maybe this information never had any kind of sensitive data. So let's say I press all sensitive data has been removed, press continue. Now I can able to change this kind of classification. But that is one thing. Upgrade is allowed, but downgrade will never be allowed. So this kind of policies can be there. So now when I open this document, I can able to do it. Let's say this user will right click and trying to downgrade this information, like classify, and it will go to public and try OK. So now I have put it one policy over there that if somebody is trying to downgrade the information to file classifier, you have to block this action. You don't have to ask justification. So that much kind of granularity is there. What is the purpose of doing is this? Because you are downgrading the information. You first have to read the information, then downgrade it. You don't need to downgrade the information right away. So that's what my policy is all about. That is one thing. Now, let's say if you have some kind of sensitive information, and users are now not much more aware of how to handle this kind of information. So let's say that I will put some credit card details inside, trying to hide it inside my paragraph. And this is a classified, I will put it as public, okay, to just demonstrate you that how the automatic classification will work. So now there is some sensitive information hidden behind it. I will try to save this document. You can able to see we have the automated classification, and this document has been classified as internal. And this information belongs to the finance department, and there is a PCI DSS information is present because all this kind of MasterCard, credit card information belongs to the department of PCI. So this is automatic based classification we do support. That is one thing. Okay, and the other thing we support, we block total copy paste control. Let's say this is my company intellectual property. We have done this kind of information by doing like a lot of research work, and I'm trying to hide this information inside my document for the purpose of leaking it, and I put it as public and try to save this information. Let's say you can able to see there are two checks performed based on this kind of information added. First is inappropriate content is found. So you can able to click on view. You can able to see where is the sensitive content. Okay, it is there. When to remove it is not allowed as per our company policy. The second check we have performed is like why you are downgrading this information. So you need to properly justify. Right now I have put it continue option. I can able to continue and I justify my other action. But still that it can able to block that. We can put the blocking mode. So the same thing will go to your email part. So in the emails, if you are sending some kind of sensitive information, like internal classification, so it will be visible like that. In the subject line, there is the I would be added if you are putting. Then there is first line of text, classified internal IP. And there is a footer is also applied, which is called the last line of text. Also the summary marking, which will give a complete visibility to users how they are doing it. And the watermarks. Watermarks is a much more not okay to be look at it, but we can put in a better way of doing it. So let's say the same policy I'm trying to send some sensitive information to external recipient or external domains like outlook.com or to gmail.com, and try to put it in my subject or body line and trying to send it. So what will be happen behind the scene? It will, first of all, it will detect this inappropriate content. This content is not allowed to send to these kind of domains. The second check it had performed is at least one mandatory label element has not been selected. So both are the checks performed in the real time. So in order to resolve this one, we need to classify the information, first of all, because this is mandatory. Now you have classified the information. Again, this policy has been not resolved right now. You can able to see the continue button is grayed out. If you want to resolve this policy, you need to send this information to the internal recipient, because Gmail Outlook is not allowed. We are checking on the domain one. So now I wanted to send this information. I need to select Bulwark domains or bulwarkbase.com. These are my internal domains, and now I can able to send this information without any restriction. I will going to receive this information in a while, so you can able to see in the inbox I have received this information. That is so now I have covered both documents and emails. Another good thing is like maybe you have like a bulk of amount of data inside your file. So we provide Power Classifier for files, which is part of Foundation suite. So this tool will help you to classify your bulk data, whether it is residing inside your folders or some other NAS storages or file share. So you can able to see label configuration we have received, policy we are getting, same policy we are getting from the BoldonJames. Now I have one folder which has some lot of different documents, PDF, PowerPoint slides, RDP session, even though I have the nested folder as well, which is not properly classified. So I have pointed out this folder to my Power Classifier. Now I'm trying to classify this information. So recurse is something very important. So if you have terabytes of information inside the folder, you can select this box. And I wanted to do also the ADS marking. So any kind of documents which are other than the Microsoft Office documents, they will also get be classified based on the ADS marking. We can do the preserve timestamp. So because we are classifying the information, maybe the timestamp will be changed. So we can preserve the same timestamp. We can update the marking, label cache, and even we can do the label integrity checks as well. So once I click edit label, what kind of label do you want to apply? Right now you can able to see there is no classification label. I will put it as internal. Okay. Now just click apply. In the real time, you can able to see there is a red box coming behind the scene. So these are all the labels will be applied in just one click. This is called the bulk classification. So if you go to the nested folder, all the classification labels has been applied accordingly. So this is a very great tool which will help you to classify your legacy data, because it is very difficult to classify all information in one go. Then another thing I just wanted to demonstrate you the reporting console. We do also provide reporting console which will help you to detect any kind of information inside your organization. What are the documents saved by your organization? So you can able to see that confidential documents, they have been classified 42%. What are the technical documents? 14%. What about the public, internals, all those kind of visibility is there. Then classification summary, like what are the top 10 users who are classifying information. And because right now we are only 2 people using it, if you have many users, it will give you complete details. Heat map you can able to see. Email classification trends. So right now I'm not using emails for this module only. Other it will give you complete visibility for email classification. So you can also see the document classification trends. What are the how much percentage of documents? So confidential, when you click 6 documents in the past 28 days. What are the technical documents? And how many times some users are downgrading the information. So you can able to see this user is trying to downgrade how many times? 2 times in last 7 days. 2 times he's trying to downgrade the information. File classifier. So file classifier will give you the file names and creation date. So all those reporting will be available, and the good part is you can 100% customize this report as per your compliance needs.
I have a couple of questions. First is with regards to discovery and classification. I think I have posted the question on over the chat. I got an answer, but I think there is something I need to confirm back. One is, as I mentioned, Qasim mentioned the bulk classification. So I think the bulk classification will work once you know that the folder is being classified either as one of the labels defined by the organization. Now, if the organization wants to do discovery on the basis of certain key phrase or let's say regular expression, and then the same way it has to be classified once it's find out. Is there any capability of BoldonJames to do that, or do we need to take an help from DLP to discover and then classify?
Hi Arif.
Hi.
Thank you, Arif. Thank you so much for your question. So you will have a very good question that power classifier. So power classifier, first of all, we need to understand that it does not have the content checking facility. What it can do, you have to define what are the folders, what are your NAS storages. It will go over there, okay, and it will classify the information. But what we can do, one more thing, let's say we can run some PowerShell scripts over there. So let's say you have one folder, we can tell to the power classifier, go over this folder or classify. This is one thing. The second thing is normally all kind of your DLP solution have the discovery capabilities over there. So they can discover the data, what kind of content is there. Based on the content detection, it can send this information to the PowerShell scripts, because in that case, PS needs to be involved because the PowerShell has to be changed for this thing. So
that means you're telling that the remediation script you're talking about in terms of, let's say, force-point DLP. So we have to discover and then classify using the power classifier, or maybe power classifier tool, guys. So there is no as such direct discovery and classification on the basis of content using BoldonJames only.
Yes, correctly. There is no content checking facility using power classifier. But when you talk about all your downstream DLP solutions, Digital Guardian,
Forcepoint. So this seems to be kind of workaround only, because in AIP we see that in the Microsoft we have AIP scanner that does the content-based checking and then classifying the same on the very same instant. So we don't need to depend upon other tools rather than depending upon the same tool which we are using for discovery and the classification. Qasim, I think I got the point. The second part of this question is how you deal with it. Let's say the organization starts with the data consultancy, and they gets a lot of chunks of keywords and regular expression. Okay, that has to be incorporated in the data classification tool. Now, in these things, if BoldonJames is unable to do on the discovery and classification on the basis of content, how you deal with it in the network repository?
Okay, I think your question is based more only to the regex and dictionary based thing. So,
sorry to interrupt again. I think whenever we got something data, let's say data consultancy team went through each department and they got the data, they will definitely get the data on the basis of the keywords. That these are the keywords which has to be defined as this label if you found in the document. So this can be done only while checking. Let's say I have to classify those documents which is sitting at rest. Okay. Now the only thing which we can do is to discover and then classify. So
exactly.
This thing, it has to be done on the basis of the content, right?
Exactly.
Because each folder does not have to have only confidential or only general or internal use only. It might contain a different kind of data altogether.
Okay.
How to deal with it?
Okay, Arif, you have a very good question. So the first thing is like in BoldonJames, we support both user-driven and automated way. User-driven is something when user can able to directly classify the information. Secondly, what we can do, if the sensitive information is already written inside the documents or some other drive, we can classify the information. That is the automatic way of doing it. But what about the legacy data? You are the main question. So legacy data, it is already residing to some drives. So that classification can only be done by the discovery tool if you have already over there. So we discover the data from other discovery tools like your DLP solution. So all the information, as I discussed, will be provided to BoldonJames, and then we can classify. So the mapping can be done and tagging can be done from the BoldonJames. Same tagging can be copied to other solutions. Your DLP
So
solution.
I
They can do
think
it from their end.
I think this point is also very much clear that there is no as such capability for the content-based checking. We have to be dependent upon
content-based
in terms of
checking when you
legacy
are
data.
bulk classification.
Yes,
Bulk
yes, in terms
classification.
of legacy data. Yes.
Yes, legacy data.
Kasim, one more thing. I think that these are the questions which we, we are dealing with the BoldonJames, which means in addition to the first point, and we came across lots of questions like this. So one more question is, as I mentioned, as a pretext of data consultancy. Now we got the data. Okay. Now the customer is asking, let's say one is legacy data, as you clearly mentioned that we have to dependent upon some other TLP tool to discover, and then we'll use some kind of remediation script to classify this thing on the legacy data.
Exactly.
Second thing is, what about the data in motion or data in use? Okay. Now these keywords or phrases, customer is saying, if you find this one, it has to be classified only the department which they have suggested. It could be manual, it could be automatic. This is other things, but how to enforce the suggested classification? I have seen there are multiple options, content based and condition, but what I have seen is if you import lots of content, it will take a lots of time to do that. So how you deal with it if you got thousands of keywords from the customers and you have to enforce the classification based on those keywords against the classification label which DC team has provided.
Okay, so basically you have a question regarding the content base. So what we suggest from our side is like you need to be very granular when you are doing the regex based or dictionary based content checking. So what you can do, you can define different policies and try to put small number of users for one policy. So that way the performance will be increased, because if you are putting a lot of users in one policy and you are doing a lot of content checking with one policy, it may have some kind of performance impact. So that way, what you can do, you have to create a very granular kind of regex expression that will have a good impact on your documents. That is one thing. The second thing is you have asked about the data in motion. So in data in transit or data in motion, we have several tools like email classifier is there. Then we have a mobile filter. So these kind of all the tools that will help you to classify information during the transit. So like this is the fine tuning we need to do it. Like from the email we can do it like if you are sending some information from desktop to OneDrive. Okay, and even if it is going, we can integrate directly with the SharePoint as well as the Box cloud-based application. So if users are trying to copy information from their desktop to the SharePoint application, that information can automatically be classified. And even if they are opening directly to the SharePoint or Box application, we can classify information over there. Or if they are downloading this information to the desktop, we can check that whether it is allowed to download or not able to do it. So based on different fine tuning, based on different integration with other downstream technology, so you need to consider that data classification will always be the first stage of doing it. Because if you are creating policy into the DLP, there may be chances that a lot of false positives will be coming. Because we have seen that if you are directly going to the DLP solutions, what customers say, they are not able to continue with their normal business processes. So if you wanted to cater this one, you need to properly define your classification label. First, you have to go through some procedure maturity level with the data classification. Once all the data has been properly classified, so that way you can put those all kind of intelligence to your downstream technologies. DLP, CASB. Even now, even the CASB solutions are much more capable to read the metadata information. Let's say you say that if this information is already existing in the Office 365, you will not be able to download or share to these kind of devices. So that way you need to properly take advantage of every solution. You need to combine all those use cases with different solutions, because there is not a silver bullet to cover all different use cases. You have to take best advantages from different security solutions to cater all the use cases.
Correct, very correct. Yes, I think the last question from my side would be just as you are having an expertise in data classification. So in terms of approach, high level approach, let's say you got some inputs from data consultancy team from each department. Okay. Now, if that contains huge amount of data, for example, and you have to start the data classification exercise. Okay. Now, first thing is we will, we'll do like enforcing labels and mandatory selectors and all those stuffs. My only, things will come up in terms of content. When you go with the content-based checking, so what will be your approach? What would you say to the customer that initially you go with this one, or you should maybe go with let's say 1,000 keywords are coming up, for example, and will you say that let's start with hundreds of keywords, because thousands of keywords, from my understanding, it will be a huge task to do it, and there is no as such thing in BoldonJames to import in one go. You have to do it manually, one by one. So what will be your approach in terms of achieving optimal solution?
Okay, so Arif, you need to understand this thing that BoldonJames is purely a data classification solution, first of all. So as I discussed, we need to take advantage from different products, because DLP is all about checking your content. When you are taking advantage of content checking from the data classification solution, there may be chances some performance impact will come in, because DLP solutions are much more made to check the content side of it. So if it's better you do start checking the content or context from the DLP side. Once you have all kind of visibility from your solutions, so what you can do, you can provide this kind of intelligence.
I think maybe I missed something. Just to rephrase it, data consultancy sheet is for the keywords. It's not only to visualize or protect against those keywords. It's to, when you find those keywords or phrases or maybe unique thing, then you have to make sure the document or email should have those tags.
Okay.
Means content based checking. I'm sure the DLP will have a huge advantage of doing this, but data classification is coming into picture just to have the accuracy, because metadata will never give you wrong results, right? Content might be false positive and all those stuff. So
Arif, I'm just telling you that you are telling opposite thing. Content, if you are directly checking the content, it will give you a lot of false positive. So we will never recommend to do like lot of content checking. Maybe you can do it much more sensitive information and you are properly defining it. The other way around is you need to classify the information and check this kind of metadata tags, because metadata is something which is not human readable. You should never put human readable text over the metadata. If you do it, then there are chances lot of false positives come. So better you put metadata which is much more machine readable only in the form of UID numbers, like maybe you have Emirates ID number. You put in, nobody can able to understand, only the government can recognize it. So that kind of intelligence you need to put inside the metadata. So that way you can able to do it. So Arif, we will take further questions after this session, because this webinar is based on 1 hour session. So you can directly come to me after offline. We can take many questions.
Thanks a lot, Qasim. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Take care. Bye.